Hey everyone, here we are again. It's early November, and I've already got my first cold of the season. It's caused me to miss a couple workouts, miss some jiu-jitsu classes, but it's also one of those things that always forces me to work on something that I am not naturally good at. So with that, let's get into round 44 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is the power of patience. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition, say a year out, or maybe you're right in the middle of it, control what you can. For the medium range group, those of you who are looking at a transition in 5 years or so, develop the ability to wait out setbacks. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your career, you've got at least a decade ahead of you, if not more. Focus on delayed gratification.
You transition out is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know, that's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group. You can only control what you can control. Everything's coming at you right now. It's probably coming at you quite rapidly. Probably many of you, like me, had that feeling of pressure because even though you are excited about transitioning out, even though you feel like you're prepared, there is still that sense of unknown. What's it going to be like when I am away from these careers? For those of you in a forced transition, and I truly apologize for that, I wish you the best because I can't imagine how much additional stress that's having on you. But at the end of the day, all you can do is focus on what you can control, not the stuff you can't control. You trying to focus on, put attention into a bridge that's 3 bridges down the road, all it's doing is adding more anxiety to you and taking away energy that you have right now. Just focus on the bridge that's right in front of you that you got to cross. Those things that you can control, most important, your skills and experience. You're bringing a lot to the table. Hard skills, soft skills, whatever it is, you have control of what you bring to the table. Focus on that. Focus on everything that these careers have given you the opportunity to do and that you have succeeded in doing. With that, these careers also have allowed you to develop a dedication to service. Service to others, service to team members, service to an organization. All of that is valuable to a new or your next organization. In conjunction with that, our careers tend to have missions, objectives, projects, whatever you want to refer to it as, that never or rarely ever go as according to plan. So we have the built-in ability to adapt. It's just something that we are forced to do. You could go through all the training scenarios you want. When it comes to real life, they never seem to go exactly as you planned or prepared for them. All of those are things that you have in your control. Focus now on just preparing yourself to be ready for your transition. Your transition is the mission that you're preparing for. All you can do right now is focus on doing everything you can to be best prepared for that mission, not focusing on, well, what if once I get there? Now, you do want to build in contingencies. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm getting at is spending all of your time focusing on the contingencies and the what ifs and everything else takes away from your ability to prepare now. So what you have to do is spend the bulk and the majority of your time now preparing so that you, when you get to your transition, those little pivots aren't going to completely derail you. As simple as where you can start is make sure your resume is up to date. This may sound like I am being redundant and you've heard it a million times, but the reason why I'm redundant and the reason why you've heard it a million times is because people continue to make the same mistake. Is your resume up to date? Do you have everything that's in there? And here's the and the most important part. Are you tailoring your resume for the job that you want? This may sound silly. Every job is going to have subtle differences. Even if the job title is the same, different organizations have different requirements and demands for the same titled position. So if you're relying on a resume that you used 2 months ago or that you created when you thought, okay, this is the career that I want to go towards, that's great. That's a starting point. But go through and look and actually read the job description of the job you're trying to get and make sure you're pulling out those key points and then equating them in your resume to your experience and those skills that you're bringing to the table. So put a little effort into every job that you're going to apply for. Your resume is going to be a little bit different. There's no way around it. There's no way to say one resume is going to work across the board. If that was the case, then there wouldn't be professional resume makers. But I'm going way off base here. What I'm saying is just get your resume up to date. Make sure that every job you're applying for, you're almost doing a new resume for that position. Don't rely on just one standard resume. The other thing you can do right now, start practicing your interviewing skills. Practice questions that you believe are going to be asked, questions that might be unexpected, but most important, focus on just your ability to sit across the table from somebody and sell yourself, sell your skills, sell your training, sell your experiences, and how it relates to the job that you want and the organization that you're trying to get into. You would be surprised how much just repetition of answering what seems like the same question over and over will make you more comfortable. And then when you're in that room with that person, you already know that you're probably 75 or 80% of the way there. Then if they do ask that one random question or that one question that inevitably is going to be asked that you just didn't prepare for or forgot to prepare for or were just completely unexpected, then you don't melt down because you've got all the other answers ready to go. And then you can focus a little bit more of your mental power on answering that question. But practice makes you better. This may sound silly. Think about dialing in your appearance. What is the culture of the organization that you want to go into? What's the culture of dress? What's the culture of appearance? Beards, no beards, hair, long hair, all of those little things that you have to say to yourself, I have a particular style, but do I want to hold on to, man, I like having this beard or I like having this longer hair or whatever? That's great. But if that doesn't fit into the culture of the organization that you want to get into, then you have to say to yourself, what's more important? Is holding on to the way I look or is getting the next job more important? So do the research into that company and find out what their culture is. Find out if they're a suit and tie organization or are they jeans and a polo shirt. Understand that you're going to want to assimilate as best as possible from the time you walk in the door. My 2 cents, don't rely on, okay, if I get this job, I'll shave my beard and I'll cut my hair. And I'm just using those as examples because how you walk through the door is how they perceive your desire to work for that company. So you can control what you look like when you walk through that door? And are you an immediate fit for that organization? You can't control the job market. As much as we would like to try to dial in everything, we can't. So, like I said previously, focus on your preparation for your transition. When you get there, if the company that you're targeting or the job that you're targeting isn't available at that time, you can't control that. But don't get to that point and then go, oh, I really want to apply for this job. And now you've got to waste time getting your resume together, getting you ready for that company. And in that interim, maybe the job passes you by, or maybe the window to apply closes down, because you'd be surprised if you haven't checked LinkedIn recently, you can get a notification for a job and then literally go to it an hour later, 2 hours later, and it's no longer accepting applications. So you got to be ready and prepared to jump on every opportunity as they come up. You ever feel like your body just isn't keeping up the way it used to? We all know that life doesn't slow down, and sometimes the grind shows up in ways that we might not expect. Lower energy, focus that's a little off, maybe even motivation that isn't quite there. Human Performance TRT knows what it's like to want to get that edge back, and they're here to help you do it without the runaround. A veteran and first responder-owned company, they're not just your typical telehealth service that just hands out prescriptions. Human Performance takes a full view of your health. First, you hop on a video call with one of their expert providers who goes through your goals, your blood work, and any specific needs you've got. From there, they create a personalized plan that goes beyond just hormones. If you need support with mental health, they've got it. If you're looking to get serious about weight management, they can coach you through it. The best part, they keep it flexible. No locked-in subscriptions. As you progress, they're checking in, making adjustments, and keeping your health plan up to date. Because what works today might look different down the line. Everything they do is sent right to your door, hassle-free, so you can stay focused on the things that matter. And here's another benefit. If you're already on a hormone replacement program or have recent blood work, Human Performance makes it easy to transition. If your lab results are less than 6 months old, you could submit those directly. No need for new blood work. They'll review your current levels and build a customized plan based on where you're at now, so you don't have to start from scratch. It's just another way that Human Performance puts you first, meeting you where you're at on your health journey. Human Performance TRT is built around your success. This isn't a one-and-done approach. It's ongoing with real guidance, because your health deserves more than just a quick fix. If you're ready to take the next step towards optimized health, check out Human Performance and see what a real personalized approach looks like. And for listeners of the Transition Drill podcast, use the promo code TDP for 10% off throughout the entire time you work with Human Performance. So head over to hptrt.com and remember to use the promo code TDP, that's Tom David Paul, for 10% off your program. Medium range group. Be able to wait out setbacks. Grit, intestinal fortitude, whatever you want to call it, is that ability to keep pushing through obstacles with patience. That's what you want to cultivate. I would say right now, you really need to do a self-evaluation of what is your natural tendency. Are you naturally a patient person, or are you somebody that is quick to get upset, quick to let me do it? Nobody can do it as well as you do. All of those little things that add anxiety to us, we need to work on being better at not letting that happen. I would say that if you're the extreme variation of that, in the sense that when you do that honest evaluation with yourself, and again, only you can truly evaluate who you are inside. But when things go wrong, are you that person that completely goes off the rails, who becomes unhinged because one little thing went wrong, to the point that you're almost like, well, you just shit can the whole project or the whole mission? You're planning to go to the beach, let's say, and the beach chair breaks as you're loading it into the car. Are you somebody who's going to be like, man, screw it, we're just not going to the beach today? Or yeah, we'll just make it happen, without the beach chair. That's an extreme example, but what I'm saying is we know those people. We've worked with those people that something could even be perceived as minor goes wrong, and you would think that the world is ending for them. If that's you, again, that's something you need to work on. That doesn't make your job easier to be that easy to lose control. I would say that the best way to make yourself better at this, take this time now over these next few years. Put yourself in situations that are going to have built-in setbacks. Take on assignments that are going to be difficult to implement. We've all had those experiences where a boss or maybe a group or something within the organization wants to implement something new. And we sit there and in our head, we're going, there's no way this is going to work for whatever reason. Whether it just be the culture may not accept it, may not be something that you've done previously. So now everything's got to be changed, new equipment, whatever it is. We've all been in those situations where you can put yourself forward or push yourself forward is step up and take the lead on one of these wild ideas. But go into it with a extremely positive attitude. Like, I am going to make this happen. And as you approach and hit those roadblocks, whether it be it's just not accepted culturally, maybe you try to find a way to get people to buy into it. Maybe you don't have the equipment. Okay, fine. Can we do it with other equipment? Again, each little roadblock, just see if you can push through and see how close you can get to implementing that. You never know. It might actually get implemented, but it just needs that right mental mindset to keep pushing forward. The other thing you can do is if you take on a project that you can't accomplish and you have the ability, let's say, I'm just going to use this as an example. Say that the project needs to be completed in 6 months, but you say to yourself, you know what, if I put a deadline on myself for 3 months, but that's going to require a lot of other outside influences and other teams really coming in and bringing things together, maybe you set that as your own personal deadline. I'm going to do this in 3 months, and understand that some of those teams may not come through for you when you ask for something to get done. Be okay with it. Just keep pushing forward. The last thing you can do is, when it comes to working with teams, is you take on a project, don't hold on to everything yourself. Delegate some of the sub responsibilities within that project. And when you delegate it to another person or you delegate it to another team, don't micromanage them. Just tell them, this is what I need to get done. Get it done as quickly as possible, however you put it. But which is likely going to happen, not every member of that team is going to finish their piece of the pie at the time that you need it to be done. Again, be okay with that. Be the positive member and say, okay, how can we keep moving forward? What do we need to help you achieve your piece of this mission? Just little things like that will start helping you develop that ability to deal with setbacks. I would say along that line of self-introspection, really sit down and think about the person that you are. Start keeping a journal of how do you deal with poor situations, things that don't go according to plan, or things that come up that weren't expected. Did you deal with it negatively or positively? Did you overreact to it? Again, did you allow yourself to be overcome with the anger, the frustration, whatever it is, and basically turn your back and go, screw it, we just can't finish it? Or, which I'm assuming is like many of us, there are some positives. hey, this didn't go right. Maybe I did get a little angry. I kind of, maybe had a small setback, but I pivoted and I got around it this way or whatever. Start making those notes on how you naturally deal with things. Draw out the negatives, draw out the positives. And then once you kind of get a better picture of how you deal with things naturally, then lean into the positives, focus on the positives, and work on improving the negatives. Equal to this, though, be patient with yourself. Change in each of us doesn't happen overnight. So just because you do a journal, just because you take on that difficult project doesn't mean that your ability to be more patient is just going to happen overnight. It's going to take practice. And I know for myself, it is something that I work on daily in forcing myself not to let those things that are out of my control or that I didn't expect to happen to not derail the entire project. So give yourself that time to learn and grow, to learn yourself and grow how you deal with situations. For your organization and for moving forward, really focus on becoming that person who is calm under pressure, that your boss, your organization knows that they can lean on, that they can rely on when things are going to crap, that you're going to be the one constant to, hey, they aren't folding under that pressure. That's something that becomes marketable for you when you move out of these careers into your next job. You probably already are that way. Every one of us, I think, in these careers has that natural ability or learned ability. We just don't recognize it. We might not be as calm as other people that we work with, so we perceive ourselves as not being that way. But I think you'd be surprised how much, because of our exposure to situations that are not normal, that are chaotic, that we have a bit of that calm under pressure. Just keep working towards being a better version of that. When you go to your next job, that's something that you take with you. I have the ability to see an objective and make sure that I meet that objective. Whatever the roadblocks we face, we can find ways around it. If you're going down a path and there's a tree in the road, well, you don't just turn around and go back. All right, how can we deal with this? Do we have chainsaws? Can we cut it? Can we drive around it? Is there a pathway that if we back up just a little bit and go, all those little things. But most importantly, it's not simply, there's a tree in the roadway. Let's turn around, let's pick up our stuff and go home. No organization wants that, whether it be your current organization or your next one. So be able to sell that you're a person who deals with roadblocks and keeps moving forward. This episode is brought to you by Trident Coffee, a veteran-owned brand and lifestyle. And while they're masters of cold brew, Trident's beans are roasted to create a flavor that shines whether you drink it hot or cold. There's no bitterness, there's no burnt taste, it's just good tasting coffee. Their coffees taste amazing hot, which is how I prefer it, while still designed to excel as a cold brew. But Trident Coffee is more than just great taste. Trident supports your wellness journey, featuring ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics. It's made for those who enjoy good coffee and value quality and health. So if you're looking for a coffee that meets you wherever your day takes you, hot or cold, you need to check out Trident Coffee. I know I said I prefer hot coffee, but here's a tip from me. Mix their instant cold brew with your favorite protein for a protein coffee drink that's great cold. You can thank me later. I know there's a lot of coffee options out there, but give Trident a try. I know you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Head over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. That's TDP15 for 15% off your order. Long range group. You need to focus on delayed gratification. Getting things, working towards things that are down the road, that are not immediate today, actually fuels more satisfaction. Having a plan that takes time, takes commitment, and takes dedication to ensuring that you get there is going to feel a lot better than if it just comes real easy, or that if you're just looking for the short-term goal. That may be something that sounds too parental or whatever, but really think about what you're striving for in your daily life, in your personal life, in your career life. What are you driven by? Are you driven by the immediate gratification, or are you somebody who can say, you know what, I might not get as much or perceived as much today, but man, look what I'm going to get in the future. Not everything that you decide to do today is going to have an immediate or measurable payoff. Some of the things you choose to do today, stepping up for your boss, hey, how can I help you? What can I, what needs to get done? How can I do this? Assignments that you choose, man, they might be a little bit more difficult today, but they're going to have payoff in the long run. Little things like that, where you're not necessarily seeing the immediate picture, but down the road, man, this is going to pay off. It's going to develop you within your organization and your marketability afterwards in the long run. You want to think about it as, imagine a basket of experience, and you want to have as much experience and opportunities to grow yourself in that basket for when you come to your transition. Fill that thing to where it's overflowing. The easiest thing I would say is start focusing now on your finances. I wish I would have done this at the start of my career. The tax deferred component, your deferred compensation, your flexible savings plans, the 401ks, the 457s, whatever you refer to them as, that money that comes out of your check tax-free every payday that you don't see, maximize it. And when it goes up, maximize it again. Get used to not having it and just forget that it's there and just let it work. It's going to benefit you in the long run. The other thing you want to do, though, is think about living within your means or a budget. And as you grow, don't necessarily say, okay, I'm making $100 more, $500 more, whatever it is, I'm going to go spend that. If you're going to spend it with long-term benefit. Start thinking about maybe investing in real estate. Maybe think about investing in a company now that doesn't bring you any returns immediately, but if you let that company grow for 10 or 15 years, what will be the benefit to it? So it's that balance, and I get it. We want certain nice things now, and there are some things in our life that, you can't just forego every pleasure right now. But what I'm leaning towards is, if you can start living more in the future than in the present, you'll have much greater returns in the long run, especially if you encounter a situation where today or tomorrow you're forced into a transition, but you've been living within a budget that might be easier for you to find that immediate job so that you can keep moving forward, as opposed to living way beyond your means, forced into a transition, and now you're struggling to, how am I going to make all of these bills? So make your long-term finances something that's very important to you in delaying that gratification. The other thing you can focus on is your education. These jobs are about learning and growing our skills and growing our abilities. There's that aspect to it. Always be learning something new, something that improves not only who you are today and how you benefit your organization and how you can make the organization better, but also how are you benefiting yourself long-term? What skills are you going to be able to step out the door with 15 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road that is going to make you marketable to the next organization? Don't get to the end of your career and look back and go, yeah, I did a bunch of fun things, but what did I do that makes me marketable on the outside world? You have to make that choice, but it really kind of is, it's that thing of, make the time that you're giving to work today, work being our job, something that works for you in the long run. Have fun. I get it. But maybe what you say is, hey, I'm going to go do this fun assignment, but I'm going to give myself a window, 2 years. And then I'm going to take this assignment. May not be what everybody else wants, may not be the coveted spot, but man, it really has some marketable skills for when I leave this job. Again, you don't have to sit in that for the remainder of your career. You can move to something else or put yourself in a position to promote. All those little things that make you uncomfortable right now or that may not be the most fun right now, but it will have benefit and payoff to you in the long run. When you get to that transition and you, again, look back at your career and you say, okay, I did X, Y, and Z, and that experience and that skills basket is overflowing because you put yourself in positions that made you uncomfortable, but they also made you learn. You also had the opportunity to take those skills and abilities and make your organization better. All of that is that basket that you're going to take in and set on the table at your next employer and go, look what I can do and look what I can do for your company, as opposed to having very limited skills or very limited experiences and trying to stretch that into something that becomes marketable afterwards. So delayed gratification, think about the long road, not necessarily just the short road that's in front of you. In closing, close range group, control what you can. If you can't control it, don't waste the energy on it. Don't be thinking about that bridge that's 3 bridges ahead of you. Focus on the bridge that's right in front of you. Medium range group, develop the ability to wait out setbacks. Things in our jobs rarely go as planned. They might be minor, they might be major. Whatever it is, be okay with things not going according to plan or having to deviate on that path that you're on, but keep pushing forward to achieve the objective mission. Long range group, focus on delayed gratification. Strike that balance. You know, you've got 2 banks to put in. You can put banks in immediate, right now experiences and returns, or you can put it in the bank of long-term waiting out and not immediately measurable returns. All I would say is strike a balance that works for you, but if you can, always be putting a little bit more in tomorrow's bank than today's bank. As always, thank you again for listening, watching, however you get the podcast. I truly appreciate that you're here and you're taking it in. I hope it's a benefit to you. Please help me grow the podcast. Share it with somebody that you think might benefit from it. Give me a follow, give me a comment, a thumbs up. All those little things help the podcast get in front of more eyes, which helps the podcast grow. And until the next one, calm seas don't make for a good captain, but it's patience that allow us to get to those calm seas.